Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What's happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in the studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Do we have any listeners that are experts at building a boat? Because I think here in the Northeast, we're going to need one by the end of the week.
Yes.
Good God.
The weather here in scenic upstate New York has been...
wet.
Yeah, to put it mildly.
And tropical storm, tropical, like whatever the classification is. Debbie hasn't even reached here yet.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to get here until later this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Good God.
It's been a trying time dealing with Mother Nature here, but fear not. Weather be damned. It is time to give you a parlay of topics in this fusion edition of the ODPH, because we have a lot to talk about in the land of movies, TV, comics, and more, plus a little bit of sports, so definitely sit tight for that. But, Pat, before we get started, where should everybody be going after the show?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing on over to the website. Check out all the social media links. Everything's updated. Everything's rocking and rolling, and we definitely have we love talking with everybody after the show. Like I say, it's always great having those conversations post-show and interacting. That's what we do this whole thing on social media for, so make sure you're following, subscribe, do the whole thing. Also, talking about subscribing, you want to make sure you get to the Patreon, one tier, $2 a month, and bonus content is exclusively for you. Like, so I think we were going to be doing in August. I have an idea yet, but I'm not going to reveal it just yet. But if you want to find out, one tier and $2 a month, boom, there it is. Also, check out the TeePublic store link. Always something happening there, and always with con season looming. You want to go out and support the ODPH in that manner, go get some merch, and definitely it's one way you can do it, and we always appreciate seeing everybody rocking the ODPH wear out in the wild, so it's always great to see. Also, at the website, check out the blog section where there's reviews dropping left and right, the classified section, which has friends of the show, such as 3FM Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, and many more. Also, links for voter registration. Can't stress it enough, especially if you live in the United States. Make sure that you are registered to vote, because November is going to be a big time of year. Enough said there. That's as far as we ever go with talking politics here on the show. Also, we are on many directories. Pat, how many directories are we on?
77,590.
So wherever you're listening to the ODPH on, make sure you subscribe and drop a review on your favorite podcatcher. It definitely helps the algorithm of the show. And last but certainly not least, go check out the music section of the show, where you can find such great musicians as Brian Wolf and the Howlers, playing locally here in the 607 this past weekend. Tudor, Tom Jolu, Floodlands, Shout at the Robots. Basically, if it's anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com, and on social media, use the ODPH pod. Let us kick this edition off with recapping a show that had fans talking this past weekend. And I will admit, a little split on what is happening,
to say the least.
Pad, what are we going to be talking about?
Season 2 of the prequel / spinoff series from Game of Thrones and creator George R.R. Martin, House of the Dragon.
Yes, the long-awaited prequel to the Game of Thrones series has come and wrapped up its second season with a lot of mixed emotions, like I alluded to. Fans have been excited to see where the story has been going with the House Targaryens and House Hightower. And now where we are at is a very unique place. So we are going to be breaking down the last two episodes entitled The Red Sowing and The Queen Who Ever Was. So if you're new to the show, first and foremost, thank you for checking us out. What we like to do is give you a spoiler-free statement about what we're going to be discussing. Then we give you a countdown. After said countdown, and you can find this time in the liner notes of the show, we go deep diving into spoilers. We hold nothing back. So if you haven't seen the show for whatever reason, and you don't want to have anything ruined, you need to duck out at that moment. Otherwise, it is fair game. You have been fair warned. Enough said there. So, Pat, let me hear your spoiler-free statement on the last two episodes of the season.
You know what? They were good, and it felt like they were setting up for more, but it wasn't exactly what I expected. You know, I don't really remember the first season because I haven't seen it since it aired, admittedly. I intended to rewatch the first season, but life found a way. But from the previous iteration of Game of Thrones, I always remember the second to last episode, and even in some instances the last episode, being crazy, being what to the wall, just suspense and action and shock and, dismay and sadness and whatever else. And it was really those seminal moments that were, the quote unquote water cooler talk the next day at work or school or even at the gym, like wherever you were. Everybody was talking about it, Hold the Door, the Red Wedding, Battle of the Bastards, even when Ned Stark got killed. Mm-hmm. There's those moments that even if you weren't watching the television show, you heard about it, you knew about it, you were aware of it. And you really didn't get it with these last 2 episodes. I didn't hate them. They weren't the best. They could have been better. It was very middle of the road that, especially with the 7th episode, the second to last, I was expecting that holy bleep moment, that oh my God, that I can't believe that just happened. And it built and it built and it built. And it was, it was the red barrel in the video game right before it exploded. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe they're bucking the trend a little bit. Maybe they're waiting until the next episode. It's the season finale. We don't quite know when season 3, because we knew already they were coming back for season 3. We don't know when season 3 is coming. So they're really going to leave us with that moment in the season finale of, the who shot JR in Dallas moment. That, oh my God, how did that happen? Why did that happen? Who is that? What is that? Like whatever the cliffhanger question would be, because we don't know when it's coming. And we really didn't get that. I didn't, like I said, though, didn't hate it, expected more, but I'm still sitting there going, okay, I can tell they're building to something. I can tell they're building to possibly the biggest battle they've ever had in the entire franchise. And I'm here for the ride.
I will say disappointing in certain degrees.
I agree.
I think that in years past, like you alluded to, the second to last episode has always been like the season finale. Like they can walk away from it. The 8th episode has always been the epilogue. They didn't do that this season.
Nope.
I think after episode 4, the Red Dragon and the Gold, they really had nothing to go on except do build.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do build on storylines, you can appreciate the long-term planning.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, though, since that was in episode 4, we've now had literally 4 more episodes that have just been building.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we got the payoff that we were expecting as fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say they were bad episodes, and I want to stress that.
Right.
But I think for coming in and continuously throwing more gasoline on a fire, it flamed out very quickly.
Sure.
And I think that there's a lot of build that they're hoping is going to carry over till we see the season return for its 3rd. But I don't think it generated enough buzz to really do it. I think it left fans in a very unique spot.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to go into this about.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do the deep dive about this in 3, 2, 1. All right, Pad. Let's really talk.
Like I said, just from seasons past, especially with the first Game of Thrones, the second to last episode has always been that seminal holy bleep moment. And I pulled up a couple from IMDb. Season 1, Ned gets killed. Season 2, Stannis Baratheon and them arrive at King's Landing, and there's a battle between them and the folks in King's Landing. Season 3, the episode is titled The Reigns of Castamere, so Red Wedding, enough said.
Yep.
Then season 4 is, the episode is The Watchers on the Wall, so that's the battle between the Night's Watch and the Wildlings, which was, from what I remember, absolutely fucking bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get season 5 is the Dance of Dragons, where you got a whole lot going on. Not necessarily batshit crazy, but still had a lot going on. Season 6, Battle of the Bastards, need I say more?
Yep.
And then you had season 7, which was Beyond the Wall, which was Jon and them went beyond the wall to capture a white. Which if I remember, that was the one where like Jon and a very few of them made it out of there alive.
Right.
And then a whole bunch of them got turned. So I went into these last 2 episodes, like I said, expecting a lot, expecting some craziness, and I didn't get it, and that was disappointing. But at the same token, though, I could see, okay, clearly the chess pieces aren't all set up. They're not all in the places they need to be. They're setting up for something insane for season 3. And they're really going for the home run, and they're really going for that slow build. and they're not going for, I'll call it the roller coaster effect, where it's like, oh, you go up and then you come back down, you go back up for excitement, and then you come back down when the new season begins. That it's just this one continuous build, and you know what? I'm all right with that. But for these 2 episodes, they were all right. They weren't my favorite. I'm not exactly gonna put them in the Hall of Fame of like greatest television episodes ever. Did I hate watching them though? No.
They were what they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that's building blocks. Literally.
Yep.
I think, honestly, they could have combined the 2 episodes and maybe trimmed a little of the excess scenes. And we would have got to the same point. And it's a little disheartening because the season has been very, very good.
Right.
But I think coming into the final 2 episodes, we needed to have some kind of action. We needed to have some big moment go down.
Yeah.
And we really didn't, because they decided to focus on the armies being built.
Right. And you think, given what's happened just in this second season alone, son for his son, and Daemon going off on his own, and the king, quote unquote, in King's Landing getting burnt to a fucking burnt piece of toast. It's just kind of like, it gets to the end and fade to black.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that was kind of a wet fart.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about it, is we kept expecting something to happen, and
maybe that was deliberate.
Well, it was deliberate, because they really are going to try emphasizing that season 3 is going to be the end-all, be-all war of wars in the Game of Thrones landscape. Albeit, though, I think for where they needed to go, we needed some other big moment to happen, and I think they went all in on Rhaenyra. Getting her dragons and getting ready to fight.
Well, and that to a certain degree made sense, just because if we're talking percentages out of 100, the percentage that was focused on King's Landing and that side of the war was definitely skewing higher than the Rhaenyra percentage.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say it was a total blowout, 90% to 10%, but still, it was probably, if I had to give a percentage to it, 65, 35. Just like there was certainly focus on Rhaenyra, but the primary focus leading up to these final 2 episodes was clearly on King's Landing and their side.
Well, that's where they were trying to really drum up some interest, and I don't think it connected. I mean, when you have the great performances coming off the show, and especially Emma Darcy and their performance as Queen Rhaenyra, I thought was really strong these past 2 episodes. And then Matt Smith, I've said since day 1 of the show, is the MVP of the show.
100%.
Being Daemon Targaryen. And to see even he could not salvage enough from this, albeit though there's one moment in the final episode of the season that, is one that sparks some interest, but I don't know, it wasn't enough to really save the episode.
No.
I think I was left going, okay, what are we doing?
I also don't buy his methods or his on the surface attitude any further than I can throw it.
Well, that's the whole thing about him. He's the ultimate wild card of this universe. Like this entire saga, we don't know exactly what he's going to be doing, and the only thing that we've been able to see this entire season is him tripping out and losing his mind. Like, is he really the Mad King?
Right.
That's the question mark I'll throw out there.
Sure.
But we really had a lot of dancing around that situation, and then they came back full circle for where they needed to be. But I don't think at this point, too, anybody watching the show that's been invested was really buying in the proposition that was made.
Yeah.
Because the entire time that we've seen kicking off with the sewing is we have a new dragon rider in Adam of Hull that pledges allegiance to Queen Rhaenyra. So she is now building her army up.
Yep.
And then on the flip side, we're seeing Alicent, who has had a very trying time with...
Has also been crapping her pants the last couple of episodes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Olivia Cook, who's played her, had 2 great episodes here as well, is now forced out of the council and is no longer has the royal backing, so to speak.
I'll say if we're in a casino and we're playing, what is it, craps? Or whatever it is, they bet it all on red, and all of a sudden it came up black.
Yeah, it's roulette.
Yeah. Roulette, thank you.
Yeah, that's the whole point there. I mean, or as in craps, it was 7 out. And that's what happens here. Meanwhile, King Aegon is not healing as well as everybody had hoped.
I'll be honest, and I know I could say this since we're in spoiler talk. I'm astounded he made it out of this season alive.
He shouldn't have.
I fully expected his, what is the relation? Cousin, brother,
It's something.
uncle, like whatever. The guy who's standing in place for him. I'm astounded that like he didn't slip in there, for ill purpose, and basically because he's in charge. Everyone short of the queen mother, whatever her rank is listening to him, and he didn't go leave us, and then he died under quote unquote mysterious circumstances. I fully expected it, but maybe next season.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Carney, who plays King Aegon, has done great in the role.
Yeah,
in what he's done. But there's nothing to really be sympathetic about him. He was not a great character. I mean, the only time you feel somewhat sympathy is because there's a worse character in there, and that's Prince Aemon, played by Ewan Mitchell, who is assumed the Joffrey role, who is assumed the most hated character on the show.
I'll say this: the kid was a good king for all of like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
when he first got the reins and he had that first like public meeting where like people come to tell him their issues and hopefully get him to do something, and he was like, and he heard one of the I don't want to say peasants, but one of the townsfolk, please. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, we could totally help with that. And then his council like gave him like 9 reasons why that was a bad idea. And he's like, oh, yeah, you know what? Screw you. Next.
Yeah. So their whole saga is just kind of more escalating. And this is what Aemon is doing because he's preparing to go to war. He has no shame about.
He gives no fucks.
Yeah, he has no shame about doing anything that he does to get what he wants. And he's now said, okay, well, I took out Prince Aegon, or King Aegon. It didn't work out as I wanted to. Mm-hmm. I'll make something happen. But pushing Alicent out of the council is also a big move, too. Like, he is just trying to shore up business. Mm-hmm. And then all the while, it has really been focusing on the dragons and finding riders for them. And the idea comes up about Rhaenyra searching out for Targaryen siblings or members of the
Descendants.
bloodlines. Yeah.
No matter how removed they may be.
Yeah, as somebody that could actually be dragon riders.
Because they're a little short on they got a surplus of dragons. They're short on riders.
Yeah, it's a weird paradox here, if I may use that word.
Well, because as they've established in this series, because they didn't really fully go into it, because obviously the way history went, there weren't a ton of dragons and there weren't a ton of Targaryens. So, but they kind of established with this show that like you can't just walk up to a dragon, bow your head, and take off riding. Mm-hmm. That it's this like trial by fire, almost literally. That you application process that the dragon might not agree, the dragon might not want to play ball, and then it doesn't work.
Yeah, so it's kind of a risky gamble, but like I say, it's an odd one.
Sure,
at least in my opinion.
Oh, I agree.
Because then meanwhile, you have the MVP of the show, Damien,
still losing his shit.
Yeah, losing his mind, but he is still having people offer their allegiance to him. And it is coming with a certain price because when he meets the Lord Paramount Oscar Tully, it's a real awkward standoff.
Yeah.
To put it mildly, because Damien had one person in his corner, Willem Blackwood, and obviously he broke some rules amongst the community that is one Damien's trying to win over.
Willem Blackwood had a set of orders and a set of like rules and regulations, I guess you could say. Don't go further than this. If we're talking baseball, we're in blowout double digit lead territory here, so don't advance more than one base. And the lead runner, who in this case was Willem Blackwood, advanced 2 bases. Mm-hmm. So Damon decided to take care of things.
Yeah, so he winds up eliminating him from the Harrenhal Society, if you will.
And his life.
Yeah, he winds up beheading him, and this wins over enough of the crowd that they pledge allegiance.
Does it win him over, or does it scare him just enough to go along with it?
Tomatoes is all produce.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the situation you have with Damon, because he is sitting there losing his mind.
Yep.
In fact, that he is seeing a ghost from the past, literally, and very shocked to see this character come back. Because Who did we see?
King Viserys.
Yeah, so Paddy Considine. has resumed the role as
Yep.
the ghost of
Christmas Past.
of Thrones Past, and is now haunting.
Except it's not as fun as the Ghost of Christmas Past.
No, it is not, because I mean Damien is obviously mentally unstable at this point.
To say the least, and it's even because before the past couple episodes, it was like behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might hear him. He might turn up somewhere funny, but hey, he suffered from sleepwalking, like whatever. But now it's like he's zoning out in the middle of conversations.
Yeah,
and it's not because he's distracted or deep in thought.
no, it's definitely not. Like, it's just a very perplexing situation with him, because he's now seeing what he's always wanted is in his grasp, and you see the ghost is talking him out of it.
Yep.
Which is all the more weird.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, business shifts back to Rhaenyra and the search for dragon riders, and she's met with a little, how do we put it, conflict?
Yeah.
Because it's not exactly going according to plan, and a lot of her advisors are saying this is a really bad idea.
Yeah, because they tried once with what was supposed to be the best chance percentage-wise for it to work, and it failed utterly.
Mm-hmm. So the fact that she's really pushing this...
No, guys, promise it'll work.
Yeah. The fact that the queen is really pushing her agenda in this situation is really starting to wear thin on a lot of people, especially since the first time they did it, well, it resulted in mass casualties.
Yep.
Until we see a character by the name of Ulf wind up emerging as the illegitimate bloodline members to take control of Silverwing.
Which, if you want to talk about characters or people that you would expect to be dragon riders, Ulf is not high on that list.
No, it was completely unseen that he would be the one to stand in this equation and make his presence known. Tom Bennett, who plays Ulf, it really does his job well, because he is literally someone who wins a lottery ticket.
Yep.
He's not meant to be here.
Publishers Clearinghouse showed up at his door that day.
Right. So when we see this all unfold, he's now in a position where he went from literally nobody to somebody overnight and is now flying over King's Landing.
Which is causing a bit of a stir.
Yeah, which is not setting up a lot of good things, especially Prince Aemon, who gets on Vagar, his dragon, and is ready to go to business. And
he turns tail.
He turns tail quick because he broke a cardinal rule, which is mess around and find out. Because as he's approaching, he sees Rhaenyra with all the dragons.
All 3 of her dragons.
Ready to say hello.
Syrax, Verminthor, and Silverwing.
Mm-hmm. So with the new dragon riders along with the queen is ready to do some business.
Because if I remember right at this point, Rhaenyra and her forces are still at a tactical disadvantage numbers-wise. But they have 3 dragons, fully grown dragons, and that makes up for a lot.
Yeah. So that is where we go right into Episode 8, The Queen Who Ever Was. And we do go back to a certain royal family.
They always pay their debts.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Because we wind up going to see Tywin Lannister.
Not Tywin. Tyland.
No. So this is one that obviously everybody knows the name of Lannister.
It's one of the great things about this show. You hear a name and you go, oh shit.
Yeah. So we see that Lannister is trying to make a deal, make some friends. And Pat, how would you describe this whole setup?
I think he got sold on a line of BS that he bought into and was hilariously misinformed.
Yes.
Because he has to mud wrestle.
Yeah, he winds up having to really...
Contest of strength?
I mean, it's almost like, hazing
Yeah.
to a degree. That he is sitting there, and as somebody with the royalty of the Lannisters, it's a situation where it's like, what am I doing and going here?
Yeah.
And to see how it's playing out for him, too, I mean, Jefferson Hall, who plays Tywin Lannister, it kind of gives a little comedic moment.
He's a good sport about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Which, I mean, to do this, it really takes away from the seriousness of the situation, which you don't really see this comedic moments.
Yeah, I'll say if we know anything about the Lannisters from Game of Thrones, they're not a real comedic bunch.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they're about their business.
I mean, what is it? Tyrion Lannister was, but not the rest of them.
No, definitely not. So it is a little break in the action like we alluded to because everybody is really shifting gears towards the eventual showdown that's happening. And we do go back to King Aegon, and he is getting advised to get the hell out of Dodge.
Because word came back that Rhaenyra has forces and 3 dragons, and, well, it's a little one-sided.
Oh, it's absolutely one-sided, and dealing with what has transpired, it's not a real crazy stretch to say the more King Aegon wants to step into the realm of dragons, he's not going to win.
Because even the point that's brought up is how Aemond went over there and kind of, stirred the hornet's nest.
Mm-hmm. Well, he decided to test his weight, and he wound up he is not up to fight for the heavyweight title, to put it mildly. So him going over has now pushed war closer.
Yep.
And you see that Lord Lairs, who has been the only one loyal to King Aegon, played by Matthew Needman, he comes in and is just like, yeah, we got to get out of here. And Needham's performance in this is very strong because he is literally talking some sense into somebody that really needs sense. So it's very interesting to see because he's basically like, yeah, we need to go and get out of here, and I have an idea where some gold is stashed. We'll be able to figure this out, but we will do this after the war because we're not going to survive this war.
And it's enough gold that they can basically hide out and live their lives comfortably as they would.
So it's a very smart play to do.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have Aemond, who is just not dealing with this at all.
Oh, what are you talking about? He handles it like a champ.
Yeah. He decides to go and unleash an attack on Sharp Point and has basically said, well, we're going to go do this.
I believe the term is scorched earth.
Yeah.
Or in this case, it's scorched Westeros.
Yeah. So he and Vhagar just absolutely send a bold message, which
Kill everyone.
Which Rhaenyra is ready to say, you know what?
Enough of this.
Enough. Like we might not have everything, but we have enough. War is now declared. And her dragon riders are kind of causing a little trouble, but it's going to be what it's going to be. And we do see that even at like some attempts of trying to smooth things out, war is here, and it's getting driven even further.
Yep.
So even when you see Corlys trying to make some peace with Alan, it's not happening.
Yeah. Too little, too late.
No, it's just like everybody that's been tying into certain actions behind the scenes, they're all getting some screen time here. That's why I'm even mentioning about Corlys, because we didn't see a lot per se.
Yeah.
But it's enough that it's noteworthy to see that, they're trying to give everybody that Breaking Bad moment where everybody has a moment on the final show. But it doesn't really connect because we start seeing how Rhaenyra basically decides to push everything aside and go get Damian back. And this is where things are the most strongest in the show because the acting going on here, like I say, Emma Darcy's performance, they absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Oh, yeah.
And Matt Smith matched it line for line. And you do see that when Rhaenyra shows up, crashes into Harrenhal, and more or less comes in and says, where's Daemon? We do get the standoff, and it kind of leads into a story that has been building, like you alluded to. We don't really know where Damien's mindset is.
Although he gets a little bit of guidance.
He gets a little bit.
This is right before Rhaenyra shows up.
Yes, because who is guiding him?
Well, it's a vision of the future. Alice, the witch, I guess you could say, who's been kind of messing with him this whole time, takes him to one of the trees. I think they're called the weirwood trees.
Yeah,
where he basically gets a vision of the future. Couple quick glimpses, but a couple shots of that vision of the future should look familiar to those of you who've seen the original Game of Thrones series. 3 dragons that were not hatched. A certain blonde-haired woman played by Emilia Clarke was there. You at least saw the silhouette. I don't think you saw the full face. But then there was also we saw the Night King. So obviously visions of what's to come, and I forget how long before this is Game of Thrones, a couple hundred years before Game of Thrones. He then realizes that, like, hey, there are larger elements at work than your needs and wants.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives him the guy, it's like, hey, maybe I should just play along.
It's almost like a weird "this is your life" moment.
Kind of. I still don't trust him, though.
I still don't trust him either, but I think now that he has seen the vision of the future, that's going to impact his past and present. And this leads to a resounding pledging of allegiance again to Rhaenyra, who is taken a little bit off guard by it. But
yeah, and it's interesting when she first shows up, she's like, "What the are you doing? I've been waiting for you. I have no idea what you're doing." And he goes, "Listen, I got these forces. They're sided up with me. They'll do whatever I say, and they'll side up with whoever I say they're going to side up with." So almost for a brief moment, you're sitting there going, "Oh shit, is he about to do a heel turn?
Yeah.
Is he going to go join the other side?" And she even asks him, "Who are you pledging your loyalty to?" And at that point, that's when he bends the knee to Rhaenyra.
Yeah. So we all assume that things are aligned in the kingdom of the Targaryens, but it'll be wait and see, ... Meanwhile, Aemon is all steam ahead for the battle. And even when Helena is trying to talk him out of it and literally says, like, you're going to die.
Yeah, he's ready to fly in there single-handedly and be like, "Yeah, I got this."
Yeah.
And they're trying to talk reason into him, although at this point that seems futile. Like, "Listen, you're good and all, but like it's 3v1. And that's before you get to the forces on the ground."
Mm-hmm. And there's no chance to win.
Because I think at this point they don't know what's been going on between Daemon and Rhaenyra, and they're just going on the assumption that, like, yeah, they're together. They've got a massive force sided up with them, which now they do, but for what, 3/4 of the season they didn't.
Yeah, it's a weird setup here.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was just like, okay, well, he's trying to get into war, but it's like,
well, we know they're setting up for a massive war, because I forget what episode or what season it was in the original Game of Thrones, but they brought up this war.
Yeah.
One of the characters, because I saw it on a YouTube short thing scrolling through one day and going down the rabbit hole of those things. And it was about how they were talking about this war between the Targaryens and how it literally divided the entire continent.
Yeah.
And it was brother versus brother, sister versus sister, family versus family, and all this other, and just how insane it was. And we've seen some insane battles in this universe, but this has to top them all. That, like, even 100, 200, 300 years after this takes place, whatever it is, they're still talking about it and they're still reading about it.
Mm-hmm. It's one I think they mentioned early on with Daenerys' rise to power.
Could be.
Because they're alluding to the destiny right of the Targaryens about being, the who sits on the Iron Throne.
Yep.
So this battle is meaning a lot, and they spent a tremendous amount of time building it up. Even with, I will say, this was an awkward moment.
Okay.
I don't really see why at this stage we even did this, except to bring things full circle between the two biggest characters on the show, and that's Alicent and Rhaenyra.
Sure.
Because Alicent sneaks into Dragonstone and gives a proposition to Rhaenyra.
The desperate last attempt, in my opinion.
Yeah, trying to show some relevance, but you have no power to throw because you were forced out of the council.
Right.
And she is saying that she will surrender King's Landing.
Yep.
For her and her family's free pass into safety.
Yeah, because I think at this point, word has reached them what's been going on and how large their force is, and they're like, we're screwed.
Yeah. Which Rhaenyra, and rightfully so, brushes off.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Has no desire to hear this. And with all right. Like,
I can't blame her.
Yeah, I'll do, respect about it. Because, like I say, she's all right about this, her actions about this, because she is literally saying, you killed one of my children.
Uh-huh.
Why
Yeah.
would I think this is okay?
Yeah.
And literally,
it's a blood feud.
Yeah. Like, the line was crossed. When you start doing this,
Yeah.
there's no turning back.
You don't fuck with the mother bear.
Yeah.
And you don't, especially when you kill one of their kids.
Exactly. So Rhaenyra says, well, if this is going to happen, Aegon dies.
Yep.
Enough said.
Yep.
And is cold about it, and I love...
Oh, I did too.
I love Darcy's performances. Like I said, they absolutely crushed this.
Yeah.
Because this is the what needed to be said. Game of Thrones, if anybody is new to the franchise here,
there's no political like negotiating.
No, there isn't, and there really is no redeemable character.
Especially at this point.
Yeah, no, they're all on a quest for power, and they all are very ruthless, which is one of the pluses and minuses of the show. Because you want to root for characters, but you have to remember this is all about business.
And at some point, they're going to turn into an awful POS.
Yeah, they always do.
I think what's that saying about power and corrupting and all that?
Yeah. I think the only person who didn't was Jon Snow.
Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part.
He had a couple moments.
But few and far between compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
So the deal is left there, but we don't really see a lot of payoff for it because, I mean, Allison, that's literally the break glass in case of emergency card she can pull.
Mm-hmm.
And it fails.
Yep.
So we then go speeding into a montage of events leading into where we know we're going, and that is to war.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing the forces get mobilized. You're seeing dragons flying. You're seeing a lot of moving parts, and literally that's how they end things off.
Uh-huh.
So I guess in overall process of this, I mean, it's a lot of build.
It is.
I think the only impactful moments we had was Damien's visions.
Yep.
Because that stood out because it's an Easter egg tying to the original franchise.
Yeah.
And then I think the big moment that they wanted everybody to have is when Aemon, quote unquote, declared war.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't.
We knew that was coming though.
Yeah.
Like you don't get to the point you're at without things popping off.
Yeah.
It's how World War I started. You know, the murder of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Like, you don't have that happen with the way things were at that time and go, hey, you know what? We'll give you a free pass on that one. Bygones be bygones. That's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have one child killed, another child killed in retaliation on top of everybody else that's been killed, and go, you know what? We understand. Everyone has a bad day.
Yeah. Sorry, it just doesn't happen that way. So the fact that they were trying to sell that point, I think they misfired.
I do too.
I completely do.
Yeah.
And I think that they were trying to salvage it with Allison's deal, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
And there was nothing in these past two episodes that really were standout moments except the vision.
Right.
I think everything else, you could have really cut down on a lot of things and streamlined it and made this into one episode, to be honest with you.
Could be.
But I think there's a lot of excitement to be had going into the next season.
Yeah.
So, Pat, I'll say final thoughts on these two episodes, and then we do have some news to follow it up with.
We do. So final thoughts on these two episodes. Good episodes. You know, I enjoyed them for what they were, but I was expecting a lot more. So that definitely hit it in the rating or grading portion for me. You know, but I do see where it's building to, and I do understand that it's got to build to like the biggest battle of all time and the biggest war of all time. So I'm willing to let it play out and get to that conclusion before I make that final judgment of like, okay, that was good or that was awful. So for this though, not their strongest season finale, but you know, not their worst.
That's completely fair. Like I say, I'm right there with you. I mean, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Would have liked to see a little more bang for the buck, so to speak. But I understand that now the pressure is on them to deliver the most epic battle in TV history. So good luck.
Yeah.
And we know it's going to be a little while till we see it, so hopefully they get it right.
We do.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so there was some news revealed on Monday during a press conference talking about the season 2 finale. And that was showrunner and co-creator of House of the Dragon, Ryan Condal, revealed that the House of the Dragon will end after season 4. He also confirmed that the third season is currently being written and they're doing a full prep for it in the fall. And he says that production is going to begin in the early-ish part of 2025. He was asked if season 3 is going to be 8 episodes like this most recent season. And he said, quote, I haven't had discussions with HBO about it. I would just anticipate the cadence of the show from a dramatic storytelling perspective will continue to be the same from season 2 on, close quote. So getting 2 more seasons of House of the Dragon, and that production on the third season won't begin until the early part of next year. So I'm willing to say we probably won't see season 3 until the early part or mid part of 2026, just because this isn't exactly, you know, Big Bang Theory or one of those, you know, multicam sitcom shows.
Yeah.
They have to go to these locations to film them. It's like a James Bond movie. You know, you can't film the entirety of this in a soundstage and just flip sets around and get it done inside of 6 months. Like, they have to fly to these exotic locations across the world, and that takes time and that takes a lot of manpower. So it's going to be a little bit of a wait for that, but it'll be worth the wait, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans are proving that they'll definitely give the benefit of the doubt, but I think the expectations now are very, very high.
Yeah.
And I think if they don't nail it for whatever reason, it's going to be a problem. But
Yeah.
this is something that they've dabbled with going back to this franchise. So I think that they understand that there's a lot of pressure to deliver.
Yeah.
I think they will.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of being able to say, like, was it worth the wait? That's going to be the big question mark going into next season. But until then, hit us up on the hashtag. Hashtag ODPH pod. What is your thoughts of the season finale of House of the Dragon? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let's talk about the last 2 episodes, shall we? First, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and we got to recap a wrestling show that went down this past weekend.
Yeah, we do.
It is the party of the summer, hailing from Cleveland, Ohio, WWE Summerslam.
Hell yeah, baby.
One of the big 5 pay-per-views of the World Wrestling Entertainment. And there was a lot of storylines to be had. There was a lot of build-up to be involved with between us and Nerd Initiative. We had a lot of things to say before the show. So we have to recap the weekend that was. So, Pad, let's deep dive into SummerSlam.
Yeah, so this, of course, as you mentioned, took place this past Saturday at Cleveland Browns Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, with an announced attendance of 57,791 folks in attendance, which, good Lord. Browns wish they could draw those kind of numbers. Just saying. But going down the card, no matches on the pre-show, which was 3 hours. Good grief.
Well, they're trying to make these big 5 pay-per-views into, I'm sorry, PLEs. I guess I should say, into monumental events. And what they're trying to do, and I think this is, it's good and it's bad. They're trying to make them into fan events, and meaning like the pre-shows, they're going and talking to a lot of the crowd. They're having a lot more interactions build up.
Sure.
So they don't really need to do those prelim matches, so to speak. Even though I would love to see them.
Oh, I would too.
But I think in this situation, that's what they're really trying to go for. So I understand why they're doing it so early, because it's just a lot of hype to build up the show.
Oh, stop sugarcoating it. We know they did 3 hours just to draw the eyes away from AEW Collision.
Oh, here you go.
Collision and drawing away for eyes from the most successful wrestling program on television. I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding.
The thoughts, views, and opinions of that of Padawan J do not reflect the ODPH.
Kidding, folks. I'm kidding.
He loves AEW.
I do. Going down the card, the first match we had on the main show, kicked off the card, was the singles match for the Women's World Championship, where you had Liv Morgan emerge victorious, pinning Rhea Ripley in 15 minutes and 55 seconds to retain her belt. Of course, there's a lot more to this story than just that little sentence.
Well, the biggest love triangle in all of pro wrestling.
Love triangle. This is a fucking telenovela on Telemundo.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Came to a head in a monster way.
I feel like I'm back home after my younger days in elementary school, and my mom was at home, and she's sitting at home watching the afternoon soap operas.
So, I mean, yeah, this does play it out because, let's face it, the biggest love story in WWE has been Rhea Ripley, mommy to one dirty Dominic Mysterio.
What are you talking about? That's not Dominic Mysterio. That's Dominic Guerrero.
I mean,
looking more and more like him every day.
His homage to Eddie Guerrero is very, very noticeable.
Yeah, huh?
And when Rhea was taken out by Liv Morgan, and they've had a very noteworthy history between those two.
Tag teamed at one point.
Rhea turned on her, took her out of action for quite some time.
Yep.
Liv came back for the quote-unquote revenge tour.
Yep.
And has made it a point to take out Rhea at every single opportunity she can.
Can we just say this could have turned into the biggest, it's like talking about the arc from the end or the night after WrestleMania to this point. This could have turned into the biggest dumpster fire they've had in the Triple H era, where you go from your most dominant women's champion on the roster right now, getting injured, out for who knows how long. What are you going to do? You got to scrap, the next 6 months or whatever it is of storyline. And they turn chicken shit and they turned it into the best tasting chicken salad on the planet. Because this story, given what they were dealt with, turned out incredibly.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a testament to Triple H for pulling this off, because the match itself, we finally had the build. Liv could not run. She was heartbroken. The Dominic Mysterio chose Rhea over her. They get into the match. They do some very unique storytelling.
What was it? Rhea dislocated her shoulder like 2 or 3 times.
Yep, and popped it back in like it was Lethal Weapon. If you see the movie, you know exactly what I mean.
Also, a crazy amount of views on that video.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Rhea Ripley is that breakout star for WWE. There's no question about it. So to see her in action, kicking off the card, it was great. The storyline with her and Liv had a great match too.
Yeah.
Like I say, it was very solid back and forth.
Yeah.
Albeit, though, the turn of all turns is Dominic Mysterio helped Liv Morgan get the belt.
And the call from Michael Cole might be my favorite Michael Cole call of all time. Quote, Dominic Mysterio, you dirty 2-timing son of a bitch.
Yep.
Oh, my God, I popped.
Oh, yeah.
I got so excited.
Dominic Mysterio is arguably the MVP of WWE. I never thought I'd be uttering those words when he first came in, but he has done leaps and bounds. Amazing work.
And I love what Triple H said in the press conference after the show was over, where and I'm paraphrasing, but he's basically like, listen, everyone wants to give Dom his praise, and deservedly so, and everyone wishes they were in his position right now, but he's going to have a lot of hell coming after him soon.
Oh, yeah. But he's somebody that really has taken an understanding of where he is on the card and how to run with it and how to play the crowd up. Because after he helps Liv win and Liv is on the ground all confused about what happened, he winds up giving her a kiss and thus leaving Rhea in the ring crying that she has now been dumped on Peacock and anywhere else streaming.
Kudos to the fans who also set up a profile on Tinder for her.
Yeah.
That was a thing. You can, I doubt it's still up, but you can find the image of it online.
Yeah, the IWC was very much ready to go in that moment.
Reportedly, allegedly, Jey Uso's response, eat.
Yes. So now, I mean, that was the start of a very interesting night for the Judgment Day.
Oh, yeah, it was.
So we'll get into that a little later in the show, but great match to kick off things.
Fantastic
and
start.
I love where the storyline's going from here.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Next up was a singles match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship with Braun Breaker defeating Sami Zayn via pinfall in 5 minutes and 40 seconds to become your new Intercontinental Champion.
I will say arguably the most predictable match of the night.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, they've already wrestled once.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker is the future of the business.
Yep.
Sami Zayn is so over with the crowd, he doesn't need the belt. He's the ultimate underdog. So to see this match go down the way it did, I wasn't surprised at anything.
No.
A great moment for Braun Breaker, and it'll be extremely interesting to see where he goes next.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who he goes up with next. I know that Sammy's getting his rematch. I think it's on Monday Night Raw this upcoming week. But listen, I love Sammy. Sammy is a fantastic worker. In and out of the ring, the stuff he does out of the ring, just as good as the stuff he does in the ring. But I agree with you. This was very predictable, just because I think everyone kind of had a feeling how the end of the night was going to go and how the next couple of months are going to go. And just with the fan booking that I think everyone at this point is doing, all signs pointed to Sammy dropping the belt so that he could be available for said potential booking.
Yes.
So sucks he lost the belt, but given what we're possibly going to get in the next couple months, worth it.
Oh, absolutely. No, completely worth it. So excited to see where we go from here.
Next up was a singles match for the WWE United States Championship, where L.A. Knight defeated Logan Paul, who had Machine Gun Kelly in his corner, via pinfall in 12 minutes even. Just want to point out one thing. Logan Paul, champion from Cleveland, Ohio, got a booze, whereas Machine Gun Kelly got a pop. 2024 is weird, folks.
It's weird, but let's face it. The wrestling crowd is very much in tune with the storylines.
Oh, yeah.
Logan Paul, love him or hate him. And listen, everybody can have an opinion.
Especially recent events.
Oh, yeah, completely. Enough said there. Him in a wrestling ring draws a reaction.
Oh, yeah.
He's great for the business.
Also puts a lot of eyes.
So for him to come in and get booed, it shows, one, how over LA Knight is as a face.
Oh, yeah.
And two, how much that he is doing in his character.
Yeah.
And his character is not very likable. So this makes perfect sense. Machine Gun Kelly from Cleveland as well.
Yep.
Perfect opportunity to bring him in to do something. Machine Gun Kelly has done work with WWE in the past. He got powerbombed off the stage from Kevin Owens at one point.
Almost, I thought he almost sold a spot early because there was a moment he came out with Logan Paul and then went on the other side of the barricade to the right of the announcing tables. And at one point I saw him holding what looked to be a prop or like a display.
Well, they have the Prime set up there.
Right, but he wasn't holding the bottle of the Prime Hydration. I saw him holding a bottle of the Prime Energy, the can. And I'm like, okay, I realize he's not a wrestler, but I was like, I think I even said to Ed, who was watching with us, I was like, I think he might have just sold him a spot early because he was holding it up like he was going to swing it at him, and they were nowhere near his corner, but it never ended up happening. But good match otherwise.
Great match. I would say this is one LA Knight needed to win this.
They really needed to, do this because otherwise you're going to risk hurting the character.
Oh, completely. It would have been done.
Yeah.
It would have been a wrap. I'm sorry. Like, for anybody that didn't think he needed this, he absolutely did, because this whole yes movement that everybody was saying he should have been world champ, he should have been the guy to beat Roman Reigns.
This was the shit or get off the pot moment.
Exactly. And he could not have had a better dance partner than Logan Paul. Logan Paul took a very scary it wasn't brain buster, it was muscle buster.
Muscle buster.
From the top rope.
Yeah.
Which he did not have to do, but he did. It looked absolutely vicious. And it really helped sell the story of where LA Knight's going. So now with him the singles title, we're really going to see what he's capable of. I think he's going to do big things with it.
I'm guessing an open challenge the next couple of weeks.
Oh, it makes sense too.
Yeah.
It definitely would. I think Logan's going to take some time off.
Probably. Other business ventures and whatnot.
Whatever the case is, I think
movies, TV, whatever it is.
He's always better as an attraction than on the show every week.
Yeah,
so,
he's definitely in that, like, I don't want to say part-time category where it's like you don't need him every week, you don't need him for every pay-per-view, but like the big ones, maybe a sporadic one here or there that when it's overseas, sure.
Yeah. I say, not to say that he's on this level, but he's in the stage of like a Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I agree.
He can plug and play where you need him. He will get over, and mark my words, he's going to win the world title on one of the brands at some point.
Oh, I agree.
Very, very shortly. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how things go from here.
Next up was a singles match for the WWE Women's Championship where Nia Jax defeated Bayley via pinfall in 12 minutes and 30 seconds to become the new Women's Champion.
Great finishing sequence.
Yeah.
Nia really showed the growth that she's done. And to see the display that she put on at the end of this, like, really sold about the viciousness she was trying to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this match. And really am all in about the Tiffany Stratton-Nia feud that's going to happen.
Planted some seeds here.
Yeah, love the setup for this. Tiffany almost cashed in.
Tiffy time, baby.
Like I say, I love everything they're setting up here. And this is something to reward Nia. I mean, listen.
She's improved.
She is vastly improved. She's probably the most improved wrestler on the roster.
I've said it before, but she's gone from a person that I would not watch her matches, not out of any like protest or something. It's just she wasn't good. I didn't enjoy watching them. To now, I actually watch and pay attention.
Yeah, she's elevated her game leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
So to see where she is going to go, I don't necessarily know who would be the number one contender there on SmackDown.
I'm guessing they're going to do some sort of tournament or gauntlet match or something.
I would say I'd be all right with that. And
that's kind of their MO these days is when you get a new champion and you got to figure out the new number one contender. You either do like a tournament or a gauntlet match.
It makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if they did an immediate rematch with Bayley at Bash of Berlin,
I'd be all right.
I'd be okay with it.
Quick turnaround, that's all the more likely.
Yeah,
because they've only got like what 3 weeks.
3 weeks, and then they got to do it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So that said, I mean, congratulations to Nia. Well deserved.
Next up was a singles match between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk with Seth freaking Rollins as a special guest referee. And winning in 17 minutes even via pinfall is Drew McIntyre.
Well, the match that had arguably the best storyline in all pro wrestling finally came into play. It was a great match. Drew McIntyre, who has had a grudge against CM Punk since he has returned, has been building this up back and forth, even with CM Punk being out for injury.
Yep.
Seth Rollins has been very outspoken. He does not like CM Punk. And
Been saying it since before Punk came back.
Oh yeah, there's a very infamous YouTube clip that you can find.
Yeah.
So that all mixed together proved to be some great dramatic drama.
Mm-hmm.
The only downside of this match is CM Punk was defeated because he took his eye off the ball.
He did the exact same thing Drew's been doing for, 6 months?
Yep. And it was all over a bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
A friendship bracelet that you would see the Swifties hand out.
Yep.
Which, listen, nothing against that.
Right. Well, and the thing I found out later is apparently this isn't a new bracelet he's had, 6 months. Mm-hmm. He's had this for a while, years. And so there's a little bit more sentimental value to it. Now, I'll say allegedly with all this because I obviously can't verify this, but this is what has been told to me. So if that is the case, I feel like they should have explained that or really conveyed that more on television. Just because obviously the focal point of this feud, other than they hate each other, has been Drew's been taunting and flaunting that bracelet in front of Punk for the better part of 2 months.
Mm.
So when the whole MacGuffin and the whole whatever of the match turned into, the bracelet came off and then Seth grabbed a hold of it just so it wouldn't get damaged, and Punk took exception to that and he gave Seth a GTS, and then he put the bracelet back on, but that then distracted him from Drew, and he ate a Claymore or something like that.
Yeah.
And then 1, 2, 3, Drew wins and he takes the bracelet back and it goes back. I'm watching all this not knowing this supposed history with the bracelet. I knew somebody had made it. I knew it had his wife and his dog's name on it, and I understood all that. And I'm to a certain degree, okay, I can kind of understand this, but in my head, I didn't know it had the length and value to Punk it does. In that it's not a new thing. It's not something he's had for a year. He's had this for a while. He's had this for multiple years. But finding that out didn't wash the bad taste out of my mouth. That the story was A+. The buildup was A++.
Mm-hmm.
The first 12, 13 minutes of this match were A+. And then it took a left turn at Albuquerque and went south. And just did not like the ending.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. I think.
And that's not to say I'm upset CM Punk didn't win. Listen. As I've said before, I didn't start watching professional wrestling until WrestleMania 30. Punk was gone from the company at that time. I up until this moment and this night had not seen CM Punk wrestle a singles match in WWE live. It's only ever been on clips and YouTube videos. So I was just happy as fuck to see him wrestle a singles match in the ring in person, live on television.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not upset CM Punk lost. I'm just upset and not thrilled that one of the greatest feuds I've seen in the admittedly limited time I've been watching professional wrestling turned into, hey, let's just fight over this bracelet.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's the whole point. I think the fact they centered the story in this match around that, took away.
You nailed everything else going up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ending, you missed a step.
Yeah, and that's the only thing anybody ever remembers.
Yep.
Vince McMahon, I believe, said that, paraphrasing Bully Ray.
Yep.
Yeah, so... Mm-hmm. That being said, I think they'll bounce back the next time around.
Allegedly, it's going to be a Bad Blood, which no surprise there. And allegedly, Hell in a Cell.
I would not doubt it.
It's allegedly.
I will say there's a lot of allegedlys going on with that, but
a little bit of rumor.
I would not doubt that happening.
No. Next up was a singles match for the World Heavyweight Championship with Damian Priest defending his belt against Gunther. And you had emerging victorious, winning via technical submission in 16 minutes and 40 seconds. Gunther emerged victorious to become your new World Heavyweight Champion, although not without a little bit of controversy.
No, definitely not. I think the seeds have been planted that the Judgment Day was waiting to implode.
Yeah.
And Finn Balor had been building the jealousy up that he was ready to finally strike on Damian Priest, who there had been a lot of butting of the heads involving J.D. McDonough, Liv Morgan being around without Rhea Ripley. So this has been brewing for quite some time. They did a great job about selling Damian Priest as an underdog champion to a degree, and amazing backstory too. So him getting the world title, I thought was great. The only thing that I thought was very sad to me, he only had 4 title defenses.
Yeah, that's true.
I would have liked to see him have a longer run, but in this situation, it makes sense storyline wise. And with Gunther getting the world title, which we all knew was going to happen at some point. He's that good.
Yeah.
I thought they played it up very well. I think I would have gone with what Pat said last week on the show about them waiting to do this turn in Berlin.
Yeah.
But if they want him to get the hero's welcome returning to his home country, that's perfectly fine too.
Yeah.
They set up the storyline great, albeit though I think Priest maybe made one mistake that it didn't hurt in the long run, but it was too telegraphed.
Okay.
About when he rolled Gunther too close to the ropes.
Oh, yeah.
That was the only thing. The only thing I drew back from this match. I was like, but in the overall picture, it was great. It did the storyline it needed to. Like I said, I think they just did some bad storytelling in that aspect, and him lunging after Finn.
Yeah.
I thought really kind of hurt when he should have been focused on the match, but.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, we got the ending we wanted, and we got the storyline we now want, where the Terror Twins, as they're being known, as Damian and Rhea, are now taking vengeance on the new Judgment Day of Finn, Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan, Carlito, and JD McDonough.
Listen, call it what it is, and I can't take credit for this. Rhea Ripley shared this to her Instagram from a page on Instagram. It's Wish Judgment Day.
Yeah.
She shared it's supposed to be the UPS logo, but it says OGs originals are better. And on one side, on the right side, you have Roman Reigns holding a cardboard box, and it says Timu Bloodline on it, and it's Solo Sikoa's bloodline. And then it's Rhea also in an OG or UPS uniform that says Wish Judgment Day, and it's the current iteration of Judgment Day. And you know what? I'm going to go with that name going forward. Wish Judgment Day.
I think the one thing that Judgment Day is really missing is a powerhouse threat.
Oh, I agree.
So I'm going to say this just as a leap, as we like to do here on the ODPH.
Okay.
I don't doubt they had Braun Strowman.
Okay.
I think Braun is kind of out there right now.
Yeah, he's kind of in limbo.
So
he's been involved, and he was tied in with the Chad Gable and Otis and that split, but that's kind of gone away, and he really hasn't been doing much lately. So yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be involved with the Wyatt Six just yet.
No, maybe someday.
Sometime at some point, I think it's going to happen. Yeah. But in the meantime, though, I think that's a great landing spot for him because I think they're missing something.
Yeah.
So, and plus it's always kind of, is Carlito in or is he not? Like, we don't know.
I mean, listen, Damian was the one holding block for keeping him out.
Yeah, so
Damian's not there anymore.
I think that he's in now. So
Damian's not
it will be amusing to see what they do from here moving forward.
I mean, listen, and also we can just say Ethan Page in shambles because Finn Balor posted the photo of the new Judgment Day and said no egos.
Yeah.
Ethan Page in shambles.
Yes, very much so.
Next up was the main event of the evening, the one we were all here for, and that was a Bloodline Rules match, a.k.a. Anything Goes, for the undisputed WWE Championship, and you had Cody Rhodes emerge victorious, pinning Solo Sikoa via pinfall in 29 minutes and 10 seconds to retain his undisputed championship, and obviously, much like the last match, there was a lot of shenanigans with this match.
Yeah, this one.
And that's not a bad thing.
This one went the way I think everybody was expecting it to go.
Yeah.
That when it was Bloodline Rules, you're going to have some kind of wacky hijinks.
Yeah. No ref bump, though.
No ref bump.
Holy shit.
No,
I'm surprised.
Cody and Solo, who've been building this feud up since the night after Mania.
Yep.
Finally got in there. Solo, the quote-unquote new head of the table, got his chance to bring the titles back to the Bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the night before,
Yep.
we have new tag team champions in Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga.
Yep.
So they were trying to add the mystique back, and this match was very solid. Solo, I mean, for not getting that kind of main event push before,
Sure.
I thought he looked very comfortable in that role. He definitely had a great match with Cody.
You think of who he's learned under. Kind of helps.
Yeah, which, I mean, I think we're now seeing that fruition come true.
Yeah.
So to see him in this situation, I thought was good. Albeit though, as soon as all the craziness started happening, with the outside interference, I mean, obviously we had Randy Orton show up.
Which we knew something was going to happen because before the match started, Cody caught up with Arn Anderson, the legend Arn Anderson,
Glock Anderson,
and he said, "Listen, got some folks willing to help you if things go sideways. Couple will come from up top." And he pointed his index finger to the sky, possibly teasing folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like you said, Kevin came out, Randy came out, ended up chasing the tag champs out. And then Jacob Fatu showed up. Oh God.
Yeah, Jacob Fatu is a monster.
He's an animal.
Oh yeah, I love the fact that he's now on this big stage. Because he was killing it on the indies. And then he gives a table frog splash that I know a lot of people instantly thought he was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it did look possible.
It didn't look pretty.
But he stayed on the outside of the ring. Solo went back in with Cody, who was unconscious at that point, getting ready to do the pin. And then all of a sudden we hear some
Semi-familiar
music. On the big Titantron where the entrance is, we see head of the table. And lo and behold, coming out with a brand new OTC shirt, Roman Reigns.
Hell yeah, baby.
The true tribal chief comes to the ring and takes his time, gets in there. Everybody's trying to sell it like he's not going to go after Solo. He's going to go after Cody.
Well, and they're having their Bash at the Beach, what was it, 90 whatever moment, where Hogan's coming out, oh, who's he here for? Who's he here with? And Corey Graves is like, but wait. Or I think it was Michael Cole. Michael Cole goes, well, wait, who's he coming after? Who's he here for? And Corey goes, well, of course he's after the man who cost him his championship 6 months ago at WrestleMania. And Pat McAfee went, well, no, what if he's here after the man who's been calling himself the head of the table, the tribal chief, Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
We found out pretty quick who he was after.
He takes out Solo, gives a Superman punch and sets up for the spear.
Yep.
Loud pop for that.
Oh, the loudest pop I've heard from him in quite a while.
Oh, yeah, which, I mean, we have to remember, too, when we're listening to this, when WWE is doing an outdoor stadium show, it does sound quieter on TV, but a lot of the YouTube footage that has been coming out from...
loud.
Yeah, fan cell phones, they're very, very loud. And Roman just kind of gives a head nod to Cody and walks away like, yeah, I didn't do this for you. I did this because this is bloodline business. So Cody gets the pin. Now Roman Reigns is set to come on SmackDown this week. They've already advertised it. He's going to address the bloodline and what's that going to play into. And I think we are going to slowly start building towards War Games, which has been officially announced for Vancouver in November.
Bloodline 1.0 versus Temu Bloodline.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting lineup.
Couple of different ways they could do it.
We might have a 5-on-5 by this point.
Could be.
We know Hikuleo is signed. We just don't know when he is debuting.
True.
And we do know that obviously if they want to start piecing together a team Roman.
No, so Team Roman, you've already got 4 members. You just have, which the thing to keep in mind too, Roman was not drafted to a brand.
Yeah. He
is free to go wherever he damn well pleases. So he can very easily show up in an episode of Monday Night Raw and going, hey, main event Jey Uso, love what you're doing here. You're making me proud. You know, you're doing everything I knew you could do. Need your help.
Yeah, I mean, I would not doubt that we start seeing those seeds get planted. In fact, I'm not going to doubt we see Jimmy Uso finally this weekend.
Ooh, could be.
I think he's long overdue to make his appearance. I would say Bad Blood could be the start of it as well.
I heard somebody throw out the possibility that you could see Solo Sikoa and pick your other member of Temu Bloodline against Roman and Cody.
That could happen.
In a tag match.
That could happen.
Which would be real good.
It could be real good. Or we have to remember something, too, that they kind of teased a little bit on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Was Jey Uso and Sami Zayn going after the tag team titles.
Right. True.
Well, what happens if Sami gets injured, quote unquote, and Jey needs a partner who steps in, but his brother Jimmy?
That'd be good.
I mean, it would be a crazy scenario to see play out, but we have to remember that is a possibility.
Yeah.
So coming out of SummerSlam, there's a lot of different ways they can go, but I thought overall the show was very top notch.
Yeah, it was.
Really lived up to the hype, delved into a lot of the storylines. We have a new direction for most of the titles. I think the only one who retained was Liv Morgan.
Yes.
And Cody.
Yeah, Liv and Cody were the only ones who retained. The rest were title changes.
Yeah, so it's a new direction going into the latter half of 2024 for WWE.
We should also mention we do know who Gunther's first opponent is going to be for Bash in Berlin. And it's the one that I got sold on the instant the man came out. Randy Orton.
Yep. And
oh, baby.
Great storyline follow-up, too, from King of the Ring, where Gunther got his title shot. So, yeah, I'm all in about that one. So that's going to be a great showcase for Gunther and the rest of the roster, too, because I know they're going to start announcing more matches for that card as well.
Yep.
So in the meantime, Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH pod. What is your thoughts of WWE SummerSlam? How do you think the card went, and where do you think the storylines are going now? And if you're looking for more pro wrestling talk, remember every Thursday night, 8 p.m. live on Nerd Initiative YouTube, Wrestling Night Live. Subscribe now and don't miss it. That all said, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder, and you better listen to the ODPH podcast, or I'm coming for you, and Batman is coming for you.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, it's one-shot time. What you got?
Got a couple things to talk about. Going to do some sports first, and I'm going to start with the local minute, looking at the Binghamton Rumble Ponies standings and where they're placed in the Eastern League for AA minor league baseball. You've got the Portland Sea Dogs, who are in first place. They're the Boston Red Sox affiliate. They're 21, or excuse me, that is, I hate how they do that. That's the second half stats. Let me give you the overall stats. There we go. Hartford Yard Goats are in first place for the overall standings. They're the Colorado Rockies affiliate. They have a record of 58-43. Portland Sea Dogs, the Boston Red Sox affiliate, are in second place. They're one game out with a record of 57-44. You've got our own Binghamton Rumble Ponies sitting there in third place. They're the New York Mets affiliate. They are 4.5 games out of first place with a record of 53-47. Somerset Patriots, who are the Yankees affiliate, they are 7 games out of first place with a record of 52-51. You got the Reading Fighting Phils, who are, of course, the Phillies affiliate, sitting in second to last with a record of, they're 14.5 games out of first place, record of 44-58. Then you've got New Hampshire Fisher Cats, who are the Toronto Blue Jays affiliate. They're in last place with 16 games out of first place, record of 42-59. Looking at the schedule from this past week, they had a home series against the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, lost the game on Tuesday, the 30th, by the final score of 6-0, won the game on Wednesday by the final score of 7-0. Thursday, they won by the final score of 1-0. Lost on Friday, 7-3. The game on Saturday was postponed due to rain, made up the next day as part of a doubleheader. They lost game 1 by the final score of 3-0, and then they lost game 2 by the final score of 5-1. On the road this week in Somerset, playing the Patriots, so it's a little minor league AA Subway Series. They won the game on Tuesday by the final score of 6-4. They play another game on Wednesday at 7:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursday at 7:05 p.m. Eastern, Friday at 7:05 p.m. Eastern, Saturday at 7:05 p.m. Eastern, and then Sunday is at 5:05 p.m. Eastern. They do return home next week, starting with a doubleheader on Tuesday the 13th for a technically 7-game series against the Portland Sea Dogs. So for more information, tickets, all that good stuff, bangrp.com. Got to give a little bit of an Olympics update because
I was going to say it's time.
Olympics time, coming up on the end of the Olympics here very shortly. Currently, as we record, let me hit refresh just in case something might have happened, although, hey, you never know. All right, still the same. Sitting in first place with 27 gold medals, the United States.
Let's go.
You've got the People's Republic of China sitting in second place with 25. Australia is in third with 18. Fourth is France with 13, and then Great Britain and the Republic of Korea and Japan are all tied with 12. Even overall medal counts. First place, the United States of America. Second place is the People's Republic of China with 65.
Wow, that's a gap. We have 94 medals as the U.S.
Total between gold medals, gold, silver,
Wow.
and bronze, and next closest is China with 65. Then you've got France, who has 51. Great Britain has 49 overall, and then you've got Australia, which is 41 overall. Then a little bit of Olympics fun. There was a fencing competition that took place, I believe it was on Monday. I think it was this past Monday. But it was between Hong Kong and Italy. Now, the thing I did not realize, Italy, real good at fencing. Like, they rarely ever lose good at fencing. There was a contentious match that went for the gold medal match between Hong Kong fencer Ka Long Chung, who went up against Italy's Filippo Macchi, Macchi, in the gold medal match. Thing went the distance. According to reports, the bout ended with a score of 15-14. It went to sudden death. You know, in a couple of the moments, there were 2 moments where the judges had to review the video footage to determine who had the winning 15th point had been scored, you know, but no point had been awarded both times. Well, in the end, Hong Kong pulled off the upset. and ended up getting the gold medal in fencing, much to the chagrin and the dismay of the Italian contingent, who wanted to file a complaint and file a protest and everything else, and got all angry about it. Which I can understand that. There was one person who had at least a rooting interest in this, who found no humor in the whole subject and decided to have a little bit of fun. That would be the Hong Kong branch of Pizza Hut, who decided to advertise and market pineapple on pizza.
Ooh.
So they posted on their Facebook page, quote, "If you were a foodie, choose the Italian style and add pineapple, or add Hawaiian style with pineapple, starting at $139, or in the U.S., $18. And it was accompanied by a pie pizza. Fairly standard toppings, but then a whole bunch of pineapple on top.
That's wild.
Yeah. So
that's so wild.
Taking a direct shot at the folks over in Italy with the pizza and saying, "Hey, put some pineapple on your pizza."
That's so crazy.
But yeah, never would have saw that coming.
No, I did not have that on my card.
Then into some entertainment news. It was revealed through an exclusive article over that the folks over at Deadline were getting a sequel to John Wick 4.
Ooh.
It's a series. It's coming from Keanu Reeves and Chad Stahelski. Looks like it's going to be a TV series. So the article on Deadline.com does say, quote, "Lionsgate is further expanding its John Wick universe with John Wick Under the High Table, an action series executive produced by the billion-dollar film franchise's star Keanu Reeves and director Chad Stahelski." Deadline has learned. Stahelski is also set to direct the pilot episode. Written by the Old Man co-creator Robert Levine, the story in John Wick The High Table picks up directly after the end of John Wick Chapter 4. John Wick has left the world of the High Table in a tenuous position, and a collection of new characters will look to make a name for themselves, while some of the franchise's stalwart characters remain committed to the old world order. The description of John Wick The High Table, which promises to, quote, "combine new and old and thrust the Wick universe into a new age," indicates a mix of newly created and existing characters, an approach Lionsgate previously used in the John Wick prequel limited series, The Continental from the World of John Wick, one of Peacock's biggest original launches of 2023, close quote. So get more John Wick.
Well, I mean, the franchise is what it is.
And
I mean, at this stage, the Fast and Furious is on how many movies?
11.
I'm
12?
not surprised. John Wick is still rolling.
Something like that, yeah. Then into some unfortunate news, and that is that the magazine Game Informer, which was the longest running gaming magazine in the United States, is officially no more. GameStop killed it. It began publishing in 1991 and was one of the few remaining physical gaming magazines in the world. A lot of people, myself included, grew up reading Game Informer. Came as a total shock, and there was a statement that was put out the other day once the news came out, said, quote, "After 33 years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. From the early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we've been honored to share this incredible journey with you, our loyal readers. While our presses may stop, the passion for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventures never end." So definitely sad to see this one go. I had it for a couple of years, growing up as a teenager, and then even once I got a GameStop rewards membership. It came free with the rewards membership every year. I enjoyed reading it. It was always exciting to see, especially around E3 time. The big game or whatever got revealed, to get a cover and a full story in the issue about what's going on. And the power that which Game Informer had cannot be understated. And Jeff Keighley, who runs the Video Game Awards and Summer Game Fest or whatever he calls it for them, took to Twitter the other day when this was announced, and he said, quote, "For a time, there was nothing more powerful than a Game Informer cover. Games would pass on the Video Game Awards to score a Game Informer cover a few months later. When the first Red Dead Redemption didn't get the Game Informer cover, Rockstar bought a cover wrap to take over the cover. It was that important." He went on to say, quote, "One E3 I remember, Game Informer was able to get Activision to pull showing Tony Hawk Underground at the show. all because the game was going to be on the next Game Informer cover, a true institution of our industry, close quote.
Yeah, it's a very, very bittersweet day.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you were really into the video game scene, like Game Informer was...
Game Informer was a Nintendo Power if you were a Nintendo fan.
Yeah, I mean...
They're both gone.
I mean, the closest way I always refer to it is, like, when we talk comics, there was Wizard Magazine.
Yeah.
And if you were in that era,
Yeah.
like, when that shut down, you're like, whoa.
Uh-huh.
And it's the same kind of vibe. I mean, Game Informer, God...
Yeah.
It'd been around it felt like forever, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's not meant in a bad mean by any...
It was a staple. It's like the brief time we lost Sports Illustrated. I realized they got their own thing going back up.
Sure.
They got their own, but Game Informer no longer there.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Speaking of crazy, this one came as we were recording, and I couldn't pass up mentioning this because I saw this and I went, holy bleeping shit. The folks over at Warner Brothers Discovery had a earnings call today as we record. They had some news to give, and that is its TV networks are worth $9.1 billion less than they originally thought. Less. So this means they've had a net loss of $10 billion in the second quarter this year. So reading from an article on IndieWire.com says, quote, Warner Brothers Discovery just realized its TV networks are worth $9.1 billion less than it originally thought, leading to a net loss of $10 billion in the second quarter of 2024. The massive plummet in valuation is being recognized as a, quote, non-cash goodwill impairment charge, primarily coming from the networks section of the company. That must have been one eye-opening internal audit. WBD blames the devastating change in the value to the difference between market capitalization and book value due to a soft U.S. advertising market and uncertainty surrounding future carriage deals. And, oh yeah, the loss of the NBA certainly doesn't help. WBD CEO David Zaslav said on Wednesday's earnings call that market valuations 2 years ago when they first merged in April 2022 were quite different than they are today. And doing this acknowledges that change in value and better aligns them with their goals moving forward. CFO Gunnar Weidenfels said he's not dismissive of the magnitude of the impairment, but this represents the value shifting towards streaming, which the company still believes has strong momentum. Warner Brothers Discovery just lost its rights to the NBA beginning after next season, and the company is in fact suing the NBA to retain the rights, saying that it matched Amazon's offer for the NBA and that the NBA isn't legally able to decline them if they matched. That's a big chunk of the pie, but not the only factor leading to that steep loss of value, as the decline of advertising for its linear networks has taken a toll on all the Discovery channels and the Turner cable networks. WBD also reported another write-down of $2.1 billion of pre-tax acquisition-related amortization of intangibles, content fair value step-up, and restructuring expenses. The good news was that streaming perked up with all of the DTC offerings between Max, HBO, and Discovery Plus, adding 3.6 million subscribers in the quarter for a total of 103.3 million subscribers. The direct-to-consumer segment, however, swung to a $107 million loss. Holy shit. Close quote. So they got a lot of issues on their hands because they've been operating in a hole for a couple of years.
Yeah,
Ooh.
this is not good.
No, especially for certain companies that might re-up with them for a TV deal.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
No lies detected, Pad.
Uh-huh.
A lot to process there.
How do you fuck up $9.1 billion? How are you off that much?
There's going to be like a 30 for 30 type deal about this, like to break this down. Like this is just, like I always say, like this is wild.
Yeah.
No, this is wild
Uh-huh.
to me. Like I don't understand how that can happen. And I mean, let alone, we've had the track record over the past couple of years that there's been a lot of interesting business deals.
Mm-hmm.
Losing
that don't help
tremendously. So we'll have to wait and see. But man, that's scary.
Yikes.
So that being said, we will end it like we always do, and it's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day. Pad, what are you picking up at the shops this week?
Couple things. First of which, from Marvel, you got Avengers issue number 17 from Jed McKay. And this one reads, Storm joins the Avengers.
Yep.
New arc starts here. This is from, like I said, from Jed McKay. New arc starts here. Superstar artist Valerio Scheide takes the helm as the series artist. In the aftermath of Bloodhunt and Fall of the House of X, where does that leave the Avengers? The team's roster won't be the only thing shaken up when a deadly threat sets its vengeful sights on Earth. Plus, Part 6 of Deadpool/Wolverine Weapon Extraction. So this one going to be awesome to see, and definitely one you want to check out for an incredible moment.
Storm is having a big profile this year, and obviously, I feel it's long overdue she's on the Avengers. To be honest with you.
Agreed. Then, also from the folks over at Marvel, Venom War, issue number 1 from Al Ewing. This one says, this Venom symbiote has bonded with both Eddie Brock and his son Dylan at different points. Now, both Brocks are going head-to-head, determined to be the one true Venom. Father versus son in a showdown of showdowns threatens to tear the world asunder. From heavyweight title champions Al Ewing and Iban Coelho comes a battle for the buyout like you've never seen. This cover looks fucking bonkers.
Yeah, this I honestly don't know what to expect with this. Like
Neither do I.
I usually have like an idea how things are going to go. Like this one is completely wide open to me. I don't even know how to comprehend this.
And then lastly, certainly not leastly, you got the 3 I reviewed for Nerd Initiative this week that you should absolutely pick up at the comic shops this week. First of which is Star Wars Inquisitors, issue number 2 from Rodney Barnes. This one says, quote, Darth Vader sends the 5th brother on a mission to kill a Jedi legend. The Emperor has had most of the Jedi exterminated after the events of Order 66. Some have escaped. The Inquisitors are charged with hunting the survivors down, but there is a knight named Tensu Run, who is on Darth Vader's most wanted list. Who is Tensu Run? And what threat does he pose to the Dark Lord? This issue's nuts. Of course, obviously, you know the 5th brother he was in the Kenobi series. He was also in Star Wars Rebels. So definitely a familiar face there. Great read. A lot of fun to read, and it's a really fun issue to check out. Also from Marvel, we got Star Wars The High Republic, issue number 10 from Kevin Scott. Jedi Lost and Jedi Found. The team's shattering finale of the current blistering run, a choice given and a decision made with terrifying consequences. This one is nuts. There's a little bit of sci-fi horror to this one. I'm not talking like Alien or anything like that. A little bit of leaving on the edge of your seat. Also should note, this is the last issue of the Star Wars High Republic comic series until early next year.
Okay.
They've got an audiobook coming from, audio drama. It's not it's audiobook, but it's a fully casted audio drama being written by Kevin Scott that's coming out. I want to say it's December 3rd. So definitely give that a check out when it comes out, because that's going to be your next bit of High Republic action from Kevin Scott, because the comic will not be coming back until the early part of next year. But definitely check this one out, because if you've been keeping up with the High Republic stuff, especially the books and stuff, there's an interesting end of this, which has got some interesting potential with going forward. We'll see. And then lastly, certainly not leastly, from the folks over at Dark Horse, you've got Star Wars The High Republic Adventures, issue number 8 from Daniel Jose Older. This one reads, quote, everything is about to change. As Lula, Zine, and their friends approach Iriadu, they are attacked by Nihil fighters. Will the hope of a Republic resistance be shot down? Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, events are unfolding that will surprise the Jedi and the Nihil and alter the course of their galactic battle. Tune in for the most shocking chapter of the High Republic saga yet. This one, also a fun read. A lot of stuff going on here, and one you should absolutely be checking out at the comic shop this week.
Oh, great picks, Pad. For me, Comixology Originals, Beneath. So this is a horror story, so I know Pad will not be checking it out because he doesn't do horror, but I highly recommend this one. Stephen S. DeKnight and Michael Gaidos. Pad, do you know those names?
Not offhand, no.
DeKnight is the former showrunner from Netflix Daredevil.
Oh, okay.
And Gaidos is the co-creator of Jessica Jones.
Oh, shit.
So they've teamed up to give a really cool horror story graphic novel. So that is out right now, Comixology Originals. Like I say, they're doing a lot of great books over on Comixology Originals. So if you haven't checked it out, highly recommend checking that line out. One of the books I've had circled on the calendar for months now finally has dropped. Marvel Comics Uncanny X-Men #1. Gail Simone, David Marquez. Holy smokes, this issue delivers on a whole bunch of different levels. I am absolutely blown away by this, and if I will say this, if you've been kind of shy about getting back into the X-Men universe, this is a perfect jump-in point. I love the script that Simone did for this.
Nice.
Like, I think that just absolutely knocked it out of the park. Artwork's on point. Very interesting ending, but
okay.
I don't want to give anything away. I know I can talk spoilers. I'm just opting not to. I think the issue is that damn good. From DC Comics, Absolute Power #2, Mark Waid, Dan Mora.
Oh, boy.
Crossover event of the year thus far. 2 issues in, I'm already crowning it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm already crowning. Like, they have not missed with this one. A highly emotional tale, too, of what is going on with Amanda Waller and the Trinity of Evil taking the fight directly to Superman and the remaining heroes. A lot of things are going down this issue that are going to have big implications leading into the fall when we have Absolute Comics debut, which I know San Diego Comic-Con had a lot of news about that. I expect to hear more as we're going into New York.
Yeah.
So get ready for that. But Absolute Power has just been absolutely on point. From our good friends over at Black Market Narrative and Image Comics, Cowl 1964 #1. So a lot of things interesting with this story. The original Cowl series came out 10 years ago.
Okay.
And the original creative team of Kyle Higgins, Alec Siegel, and Rod Reese have reunited to do the sequel here, so to speak. Because it feels like an original story. Cowl stands for the Chicago Organized Workers League. And it's a very unique vision of superheroes.
Okay.
So this has now been announced that it is officially part of the Massiverse.
Ooh.
So there's going to be some implications, I would say, moving forward. How this all plays out, I don't know. Very good first issue, though. Very, very good. This is the first time I jumped into it. I'm going back now to read the original run. And this one is a lot different than you would see at the current state of the Massiverse books. I don't want to say Watchmen, but I want to say it's more mature themed in some of the mechanics involved with it. But I'm not saying it's like Watchmen 2.0. I don't want that getting set out there. It's a very great read, though, but it's a different book for the Massiverse. So we have to kind of keep that in mind. Speaking of different books, The Pedestrian, #1, Magma Comics.
Okay.
So this is centered around a mysterious figure that fights crime.
It's a hell of a costume.
And does it by walking right now. Like the Pedestrian is a unique story. Joey Esposito and Sean Van Gorman are the creative team behind this. And this one goes in a lot of different directions. Like I say, it kind of like I got Tick vibes from it. I got more like really Silver Surfer type deal with this too.
Huh.
Like there's a lot going on with this book. I thought it was really good though. And it's something that it's very creative. I will say this. I haven't really seen anything like this out in a while. So this is one I would say if you want to try something very, very different, as the tagline says, justice always has the right of way. This is going to be one to check out for you. So I love the setup for this.
If you see the cover, you'll understand that tagline.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, they've got some cool videos out for it too. Like I say, Magma Comics is an imprint that everybody should be really keeping an eye on moving forward because they got some really good stuff. Also, an imprint that everybody should be talking about is Mad Cave Studios and Gotcha Man #2. So picking up where their strong first issue left off, this is just a throwback for me. Like I say, I love the original cartoon from the 70s and seeing how it's brought to life now.
Nice.
I mean, this just takes me right back. So I love the work they're doing here. So #2 is out right now. And last but certainly not least for me and my picks, Batman 151. So this is tying into Absolute Power. There's a lot of things going on in the overall compass of Absolute Power. So this story is tying into that, and I'm just trying to say how to even describe it. This feels very familiar because it's Batman and Catwoman doing a heist.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay.
But this one, like I say, it's a familiar realm for longtime Batman fans. So definitely go check it out and hit us up on the hashtag at ODPH Pod. What are you picking up at the shops this week? If you even need more recommendations, nerdinitiative.com has got you with over 30 reviews this week.
Ooh, baby.
Insane what the bullpen is doing. But like I say, nobody does new comic book day like the Nerd Initiative bullpen, and there's nothing like going to your comic shops on a Wednesday for new comic book day. That being said, for anything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. That's it for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J,
fuck the Astros.
I'm your host, Ken. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.